Hello and welcome to my top 5 Browns victories since 1999. Now, since '99, the Browns have mostly been associated with losing and embarrassing moments, but you'd be surprised how many memorable wins they've had in that time span. In fact, I had trouble narrowing it down to a top 5. So without further ado, here are my top 5 Browns victories since 1999. At number 5, I have Steelers at Browns, Week 6, 2014. This game took place right in the middle of that run the Browns were making with Brian Hoyer. The Browns were 2-2 and they needed a win after already losing 2 games in the division. Luckily, the Browns came to play on this day. They knocked the Steelers around all day long and wound up winning 31-10. And had it not been for an Isaiah Crowell fumble, the score would have been even worse. Brian Hoyer completed only 8 passes the entire day, but that's all it took. It was a wire-to-wire victory over their arch-rival. What makes this game special is the lopsidedness of the Browns-Steelers rivalry since 1999. The Steelers had embarrassed the Browns on so many occasions since '99, so for the Browns to finally return the favor, and to have it be in front of a home crowd, you couldn't ask for anything better. With emotions still running high after the attacks on September 11, 2001, football was the last thing on anyone's mind. Out of respect and common decency, the NFL canceled all games that were scheduled for Week 2. But on September 23, 2001, the NFL would resume play. And that's where my number 4 selection comes in on this list. Lions at Browns, Week 2, 2001. The game started off very emotional. Browns safeties Earl Little and Corey Fuller came running onto the field brandishing an American flag. The stadium went wild as fans celebrated the return of NFL football, and more importantly, the return of American life as it should be. As far as the game was concerned, the Browns took care of business. They jumped out to a 14-0 lead and never really looked back. Tim Couch tossed 3 touchdowns and the Browns took care of business 24-14. Lions quarterback Ty Detmer had one of the worst days you'll ever see from an NFL quarterback. He threw so many interceptions you began to wonder if he knew what team he was on. Maybe he thought they were doing team captains? I don't know. Anyway, he threw 7 interceptions. Yes, 7, which was one shy of the single game record. So overall, this was a memorable win for 2 reasons. 1, it was the first game after 9/11. And 2, the Lions are a team the Browns have had a lot of trouble with historically. So to get a win over the Lions, and to have it be the first game after 9/11, is pretty special. Coming in at number 3, I have Browns at Titans, Week 5, 2014. The Browns traveled down to Tennessee for an early season matchup with the Titans. The game started off disastrously for the Browns. It was one of those classic road team falls behind early and has to play catch-up kind of games. But the Browns were playing more than just catch-up. They found themselves down 28-3 at one point, and most Browns fans were just hoping they could cut the lead to under 20 by the time the game was over. But with a little bit of luck and a lot of fight, the Browns did the impossible and came all the way back and won the game in the final minutes by a score of 29-28. This was a magical comeback and it was really the high point of Brian Hoyer's time in Cleveland. It turned out to be the largest road comeback in NFL history, and because of that, Brian Hoyer and Travis Benjamin's jerseys now reside in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Just a side note on this game, I was in college at the time and the cable went out at my house, so me and a couple friends went to a bar to catch the game. Well, long story short, my friends insisted on leaving when the Browns were down 28-13. I didn't want to leave, but I didn't want to be there alone either, so I left begrudgingly. So because of that, I didn't even get to see my Browns pull off the biggest road comeback in NFL history. Unbelievable. I'm still not completely over that. You know, I've seen so many heartbreaking losses, you'd think I would have been able to enjoy this, right? It's like the biggest road comeback in NFL history, but it still found a way to be heartbreaking for me. It's just unbelievable. But moving on. At number 2, I have Browns at Jaguars, Week 14, 2002. The Browns were down in Jacksonville for a very meaningful matchup late in the season. The Browns were down 20-14 late in the fourth quarter, until Tim Couch pulled off a miracle. As time expired, he threw up a prayer intended for Quincy Morgan, and believe it or not, the ball fell into Quincy Morgan's hands, giving the Browns a 21-20 victory. I consider this more meaningful than the Saints Hail Mary in '99 because this Hail Mary kept the Browns' playoff hopes alive. If this Hail Mary doesn't happen, the Browns probably don't make the playoffs in 2002, so that makes it much more meaningful in my opinion. And that finally takes us to number 1, my number 1 Browns victory since 1999, and that's Patriots at Browns, Week 9, 2010. This one was a no-brainer to me. The Browns jumped on the Patriots right from the start, and they never really let up. They were clearly the better team for 60 minutes. They used some trickery, and they dominated the ground game. Peyton Hillis finished with 184 yards rushing, and the Browns won big 34-14, shocking the sports world. This was such an impressive win because of how good the Patriots were in 2010. They were 14-2. It's not like this was a subpar Patriots team a la 2005 and 2009. This win was so miraculous and unexpected that it has to be number 1 on my list. And it's always a plus when the Browns defeat Bill Belichick, so there's that too. Well, that does it for my top 5 Browns wins. Now I'm going to discuss some honorable mentions. Bengals at Browns, Week 2, 2007. After laying an egg in Week 1, the Browns scored 51 and beat the Bengals, shocking everyone, including themselves probably. Browns at Saints, Week 7, 2010. Having to start rookie Colt McCoy in the Superdome seems like a recipe for disaster, right? Wrong. The Browns shocked the world and made easy work of the defending Super Bowl champions 30-17. They did it with a lot of trickery and with the help of David Bowens. Browns at Chiefs, Week 15, 2009. Josh Cribbs returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns, and Jerome Harrison ran for 286 yards. He would have shattered the single-game rushing record had the game gone to overtime. Oh, and the Browns won 41-34. Giants at Browns, Week 6, 2008. The Browns pulled off a big upset on national TV, blowing out the defending Super Bowl champion Giants by a final score of 35-14. This was the closest the 2008 Browns looked to the 2007 Browns. And lastly, Cardinals at Browns, Week 11, 2003. The Browns just completely took apart the Cardinals and won by a final score of 44-6. This remains the most lopsided victory for the Browns since 1999. Well, those are my top 5 Browns victories since 1999, as well as some honorable mentions. Now, like I said, when I first started, it was really hard to narrow it down to just 5 victories. In fact, I originally had 30. That's right, 30 Browns victories that could have very easily made it on this video. Now this is going to be a good segue. If you'd like to see that list of 30, then please consider becoming a Patreon. That's right, I've jumped on the Patreon train. I made an account about a month or 2 ago. So if you'd like to support my channel, as well as get access to bonus material, then please consider becoming a Patreon. It would do wonders for my channel. I'll leave the link in the description. Also, sometime in the future, I will be releasing a top 5 Browns losses. So prepare yourselves emotionally for that. I know there are a lot of Browns fans who would get turned off to that. They don't like to see negativity. I don't know. I'm just the exact opposite. I like to look at the good and the bad. I love all Browns history kind of stuff. So be on the lookout for that. That is unless somebody steals the idea before I get to it, because I've learned there are a lot of copycats on YouTube. I don't have to say who, but somebody kind of ripped off one of my videos back in December or January. Like 2 weeks after I made a video, they did the exact same topic and didn't give me credits anywhere in the description or anything. Unbelievable. So, anyways, with all that said, I'm going to end this video. If you're still watching, thank you very much. Until next time, I'm Ramen Robbie, and thanks for watching.